Alright folks, so if you have been following the Snare Saturday series, then you know I am a big fan of finding those drums that were identified as maybe student or lower beginner end model snare drums and showing you how they are pretty decent sounding and maybe why you should get one in your collection. Well, in this Snare Saturday video, I'm going to be showing you a drum that comes in one of those student model packages. You know, the one that has entry-level bells and sticks and a method book, and it all comes in a really nice case that you can roll? Yeah, one of those. I'm going to be showing you how that snare drum sounds pretty decent, especially because you can find it for under $100. Yo, what's going on everybody? Nick Costa here, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you the Ludwig 13-inch Accent CS Custom Piccolo Snare Drum. This drum is part of that student package that usually every school is offering with whatever store they're partnering with, and since students are starting out on the journey, some of them realize, you know what, maybe this isn't for me, which is why you find a ton of these on the market. It's also why you find a ton of acrylites in random cases with method books too, because that was one of the original student model snare drums. Now, before we dive into this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification. That way you're notified of any additional content that I upload to the channel. So if you're somebody like me who likes to peruse the used gear market from time to time, and let's say you decide to narrow down your searches to snare drums, and then you want to refine the search to be prices low to high, you're going to see a ton of these snare drums come up first. All right, so let's talk about the specs of this drum. Like I mentioned earlier, it is a 13-inch piccolo, and it is 3.5 inches in depth. Now, from what I'm reading online, some folks are saying that these drums are 100% maple, while others are saying it's a combination of maple and basswood. And I can't really find an exact answer to what it is. Now, this could be depending on the era, depends on the type of shell that this drum is made out of. But I am not too sure, and I am not somebody who likes to misinform folks. So if this is something that you are aware of and maybe have a little more info on, feel free to leave it in the comment section below to let us all know. Now, the additional specs of this drum. It is outfitted with 8 double-sided lugs, and it is not your traditional Ludwig lug. As a matter of fact, depending on the era of this drum that you get, you might get different lugs on it. It is also outfitted with triple flange hoops on the top and the bottom, a set of Remo UK heads, so that is a UK coated on the top and a UK clear snare side on the bottom. Snare wires look like a set of generic snare wires, but I don't want to say that they are the Ludwig generic snare wires because it does not seem like it's the same quality. Now, this drum does have an internal puck dampener, as well as a generic piccolo style throw off. So just like every other Snare Saturday video, I'm going to be playing this drum through a few different tunings. I'm going to start out in a low tuning and then work my way up to a higher tuning. Now, while I am playing the drum in each tuning, I will start out playing the drum with the internal dampener disengaged. I will then engage the snare dampener. That way you can hear the difference it makes in each tuning. So enough of me talking, let's dive into playing. as you can hear, especially going to a low tuning, you can get a pretty low sound out of this drum. Now, if you are somebody looking for a snare drum that can get really low in pitch and have that dead sound, you can accomplish that with this drum. Most likely because if it is made out of maple basswood combination, combining that with the fact that the shell isn't too deep, you're not going to get a whole lot of resonance and overtone with it when it's in that really low dead tuning. And there really isn't a need for any type of dampening system besides the internal dampener. Now, another thing that I want to point out, this is the very first drum that I've ever included in this Snare Saturday series where the lugs started bottoming out, meaning I couldn't get them any tighter. So that is something to consider with this drum, especially if you are somebody who does prefer to have the drum in a higher tuning. That very high tuning that I had, a couple of these lugs were completely bottomed out, and if I turned them anymore, it probably would have broke something. That's another thing to identify. Some of these lugs were bottoming out while others weren't, which could mean that there is a dip or a valley in the bearing edge on the top, which would make sense if this is a shell that is made out of maple and basswood. Maple is a pretty soft wood, hence why maple sticks are lighter and break easier than hickory, and basswood is way softer than maple. But either way, I would love to get your feedback and what you thought of this snare drum, so make sure that you leave it in the comment section below, letting me know. Now, in regards to tuning this drum, what I would do, like every other Snare Saturday video, is tune that bottom head to be tabletop tension. There's not a whole lot of give when I would apply pressure with my fingertips. This way I had a nice quick snappy snare response, and then all of the pitch adjustments were done with the top head. Once I got this drum to that low fundamental tuning that I liked, going from one tuning to the next, I would do a quarter turn on each lug. Once I did that, I then would fine tune the drum by picking one of those lugs as my reference point and getting the rest of the lugs to match. I was not using any type of tuning device. I was just using my ear to get them all to be the same pitch. Now, if you have any additional questions, feel free to leave that in the comment section as well, and I will try my best to answer them. If you enjoyed this video and you want to check out some of the earlier Snare Saturday videos, I put a link to the playlist in the description below, and I'll also have it come up right here to make it a bit easier for you. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you give it a thumbs up. That way it makes it a little bit easier for others to find it. And that is it. Thank you so much for checking out this video on the Ludwig 13-inch Accent CS Custom Piccolo Snare Drum. And until next time, see you later.